Hello, we are back. So, a playthrough of Bloodborne has happened, and now we are palate cleansing, back with some more Great Ace Attorney. We'll do 2 cases, or a case, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how long the cases are now, because we're past the initial 2, so they should be getting longer. So we'll kind of see how I feel after finishing this next case, as to whether we do a second one or if we roll into Demon Souls. But let's get back into it. I will have forgotten everybody's voices, what I gave everyone. Who's even going to be coming back? The main character, which was just my regular voice. Assistant lady, whose name I've forgotten. She was just regular, generic, kind of posh girl voice. And then, would there be anyone else? Casimir? He's dead. He died in the last case. But there'll probably be flashbacks. He was kind of like rough, like gruff kind of sounding. And, oh, the cop guy, the detective. He was like, because he keeps coughing up blood, doesn't he? For some reason. So yeah, he's like the kind of weak sounding posh voice. But yeah, let's get into it. I'm sure this will absolutely destroy my voice. Do I need to select adventure? Great Departure we've done. Speckled Band. The Runaway Room. Okay. Oh! I should check before I get into this. Accolades. Because there's one for every chapter, I think, or most of the chapters. We missed it last time. I ended up having to replay like a huge chunk. These aren't in any kind of like order that lets me know like what's... Have dug around and found every argument about shovels and spades. Run your hands through every debate about ladders and step ladders. Oh, here we go. These are the specific ones. Okay, chapter specific ones. For having identified the milliner responsible for the victim's hat. Okay. Okay. The milliner's hat. Every new idea on Iris's blackboard. Playing the game in all available outfits. That's going to be specifically locked at 2, I think, is the outfits. Yeah, so the victim's hat. What about these 2? Are these going to be locked at 2 as well? I'll have to look those up and see if they're... Oh, examine the ladder in Iris's... So that's Great Ace Attorney 2. Oh, okay. So that this is split across. So episode 5 of the first game. And then episodes 2, 3, and 4 of the second game. Okay, that's... Okay. At least I know I haven't missed those. Oh, cool. I'm so glad there's a check mark in there. That's awesome. Iris's blackboard. We've not met Iris in the story yet, so... Episode 4, 5... 2 or 3, 2... Yeah, okay. Okay, so those ones... That one and that one are split across both games. That one's across multiple cases in the second game. Okay. Good to know. And then there's 2 mystery ones that we don't know. Okay. Just double check. Ace Attorney 2, Episode 5, Episode 4. Okay, so we just need to look out for the Milner's hat. Good to know. Alright, I'll just go from here rather than doing the continue. This is 7 parts long. How long was this one? 6, so it's going to be about the same length as the last case. Slightly longer. 11. 17, Jesus, okay. Fuck. Out of interest, how long are the ones in 2? 10. 20, what the fuck? 23? I wonder if they're shorter. 16. 13. Damn, I wonder if they're shorter, just because that's an insane number. Alright, the runaway room. Looks like it's going to be a carriage.
Glancing over my records of the late last century, I am faced by the events of a certain bitter winter. A murder in a carriage as it sped through dense London fog in the dead of night. Though the victim and the perpetrator were the only ones inside, there were multiple witnesses to the crime itself. However, none could have imagined at the time that such a seemingly obvious case as this would end in such a horrendous manner. My friend, Mr. Herlock Sholmes, once said of the incident, "I believe that perhaps that case was indeed the prelude. The beginning of a long concerto that impressive Japanese student and I were to play together."
Sholmes. Ooh. Nice fancy animated opening.
Amazing. Is this really just a railway station?
Railway station or not, I've never seen such an enormous building before.
And look at all the steam locomotives. This country is incredible.
I wouldn't put your suitcases down, mate.
So this is the capital of Great Britain.
So, where to?
Oh, hello.
Climb aboard. I'll take you wherever you want to go.
In that case, the Supreme Court in Whitehall, if you wouldn't mind.
My pleasure. I suppose you're visiting students from abroad, eh?
Yes.
Thought so. Well,
Oh, so the kids aren't just like random.
and welcome to the centre of the world, Great Britain's mighty capital, London.
Burn it all down. Burn it all down. Nothing of worth. Really? Is the courtroom going to be in the Tower of London? Let's see if they make the mistake of saying that Big Ben is the tower, not the bell. British Supreme Court, Lord Chief Justice's office. Sasato, that was her name. What an incredible place. It's so imposing. It's almost suffocating. This place is breathtaking. Looks like a fortress. There are some stone buildings like this in Japan now, of course, but they've only been built in the last few short decades since we opened our borders to the outside world. An authentic example like this has quite a different impact, wouldn't you agree? A far cry from the wood and paper most of our buildings are constructed from. It's certainly unfamiliar. But I think there's more to the differences than just our construction materials. What is this place again? This is the Lord Chief Justice's office, Naruhodo-san, in the Supreme Court of Great Britain. The Lord Chief Justice. We had instructions to report here at this time, if circumstances were different. We were supposed to let the Lord Chief Justice know that we had arrived from Japan. But Kazuma can't. No. So instead, we are here in a different capacity, as envoys to report the news of Kazuma-sama's death. Yeah. And having delivered his or her message, an envoy's duty is done. So, we'd have to return to Japan. If we want to remain in Great Britain, I have to take Kazuma's place as the law student selected for my study tour. For the study tour. Yes, which means you need to request you need the requisite qualifications as a lawyer. Which is what I've been studying for. Here in Great Britain, it is the Lord Chief Justice who appoints lawyers. So that's the second reason why we're here. To have you officially recognized as a lawyer. That it's the only way we'll be able to remain here in London. I hope I'm up to scratch. Good morning. Sorry to keep you. I'm assuming it's going to be an older dude. Ooh. You look very fancy and villain-coded. Oh. I trust you aren't too exhausted after your long voyage from Japan. It seems I'm 1 hour, 12 minutes, and 47 seconds late. My apologies. Oh, no, don't mention it. We're never happier than when we're standing around with nothing much to do. How fortunate. So, introductions. I am Mael Strongheart, Lord Chief Justice of the British Empire. I feel like a little mouse under an elephant's foot. Come on, Mr. Naruhodo. Don't be a mouse. It's an honor to meet you, Lord Justice Strongheart. I'm Ryunosuke Naruhodo from the Empire of Japan. Well, Mr. Naruhodo. Welcome to London, the capital of our glorious British Empire. Yes, thank you. Oh, straight. Let's have a look around. I doubt there's going to be much to really look at. Well, there's going to be a lot to look at, but nothing of actual import. So let's back up. Present, what do I have? Okay, yeah, I'm probably going to have to present that to him. Converse. London. So, what are your impressions of our capital so far? How do you like London? Help! I've been so nervous ever since I got here that I can't remember a single thing about the city. It's simply splendid, isn't it, Mr. Naruhodo? Oh. We had a wonderful view of some of London's streets from the carriage on the way over here from the station. Everything is so impressive and grand. I must say I'm almost lost for words. I'm glad to hear you like it. The city boasts tramways, piped water and gas, even cables supplying electricity. We spearhead every revolutionary new technology in the world. Every visitor to London is astounded. Oh, yes. Astounded is the word. Thanks for saving me there, Susato-san. And everyone seems so jolly and full of vigor. Yes. There's much excitement about the upcoming great exhibition we'll be hosting here in London. Great exhibition? Cultural and technological achievements from around the globe are to be exhibited here in our great city. It will be the greatest spectacle of its kind in history, and we will make Paris's World Fair look like a toy shop. Gosh, I can hardly imagine how magnificent it's going to be. Great Britain's capital city is nothing but magnificent. London is the center of the modern world. Even if you do say so yourself. The sun will never set on our great empire. Oh, I got some bad news for you, buddy. Oh, it goes right down the drain. Perhaps it is fate that in these progressive times we welcome visitors from the land of the rising sun. Yeah, about that. Lord Chief Justice, I think you were expecting a student of law for this study tour, weren't you? Absolutely. A Mr. Casimir Sogi, if my memory serves. That's right. The British government has already been telegraphed a full report on the situation. I understand the young man lost his life aboard the steamship bound for our shores. That's amazing. The news reached him before we'd even arrived. My country, naturally, extends its deepest condolences to yours. Oh, thank you. And you honored this appointment specifically to inform me of the news? Yes. We are here in the capital city of... we are here in the capacity of envoys from Japan to report the sad news in person. They tell me you Japanese people are of protocol and courtesy, and I see that is true. And it is with some regret that I must inform you that the death of your young lawyer means that this study tour arrangement can no longer proceed. If he was out, Lord Strongheart. What do you have to say, madam? It's about the study tour. Mr. Naruhodo here would like to make a proposal. Would he now? Well, Mr. Naruhodo? This is it then. The moment of truth. Continuing the study tour. The thing is, Lord Justice, Lord Strongheart, I was wondering if perhaps you were considering allowing the study tour to go ahead. I don't misunderstand me. Britain would ideally like to see the tour go ahead. But without a lawyer from your country, there's nothing to be done. Well, in that case, what if there was someone else? Another lawyer from Japan, I mean. Is there something I don't know? Only a single lawyer was invited to Great Britain from your country. And that was Mr. Asogi. At least, that is what I've been led to understand. Well, the thing is, this really isn't going well at all. I just can't seem to find the right words to say this to this man. Mr. Naruhodo, I could ruin things here if I'm not careful. What am I going to say? If there's something else here from Japan who would be described as a lawyer, it's me. It's me. I can do it. Is that so? I mean, I don't actually have any qualifications as such, but... No qualifications, you say? And yet you still claim to be a lawyer? I have acted as a lawyer in court before. Only once, as it happens. And I had Casimir to help me, and I was the accused, but glossing over the details. I've been spending every spare moment on the journey here to Great Britain studying. I've learnt all about British law and court proceedings while I was on board the SS Bruya. A voyage from Japan is some 50 days, I believe. Not what you call a full education. To become a qualified lawyer here in Britain, not only do you need a university degree in law, you must also complete several years of training. I realize this is far too short a period of time, but I can't just go back to Japan. Kazuma, Mr. Asogi's journey has only just begun. Coming here on this study tour was all he thought about. I had to carry on and do everything he planned to do. I know it must sound like I have an overly inflated opinion of myself, but I would do anything to prove that I have what it takes. Any test you care to set me. Just one chance, that's all I'm asking for. Please. 31 seconds. Sorry? Your opening statement there, Mr. Naruhodo. It was 31 seconds long. Not too brief, not too protracted. A perfectly judged appeal, I would say. Which is a skill that would stand you in good stead as a lawyer. Oh, thanks. So, you're willing to put those words to the trial, are you? Well, I'm all for entertainment. Huh? But let me ask you one thing first, sir. Yes? You say you intend to do everything Mr. Asogi planned to do. Are you firmly set on that path? Well, yes. That's my intention. I see. Am I imagining things? Or did his expression just falter a fraction there all of a sudden? Very well. Was Kazuma supposed to do something extra aside from just studying? Was there some extra plan intended? You have your wish. I'll give you a chance. A test to become a specially certified lawyer. Whether you pass or fail is entirely down to you. Really? Test. Hang on. 1 second. I just need to add a tag on my... on my stream. Just marking it as a first playthrough in case anyone shows up and starts trying to talk spoilers. So I've got to add that on after Bloodborne. Okay, the test. So, what form will the test take exactly? Tell me, Mr. Naruhodo, what do you consider the role of a lawyer to be? Well, defending people, of course. Well said. So, let's have you defend someone. Huh? Your timing is perfect, in fact. There's an apt trial about to begin later today. No advocate has been appointed for the defense as yet, so this will be a welcome news. Today? Straight away? If you manage to secure a verdict of not guilty, you'll have passed my test. What could be simpler? How do I get myself into these situations? At least it's not us being on trial this time. It's somebody else. Well, could I ask, what sort of trial is it, Lord Strongheart? Yes, a good question. Ah, I remember. It's a murder. Course it is. It's a murder trial. A murder? An extremely simple case, I understand. You really can't lose. That's easy to say. But I should mention, just in case. If the defendant is found guilty, he will of course be sentenced to capital punishment. Capital punishment? He'll be put to death. Here in Great Britain, murderers are sent to the gallows without exception. Presumably you read that much in your short, C-based introduction to British law. We can't possibly agree to such a test. We would be toying with a man's life. Technically, even if he wasn't going to be executed, he'd still be toying with his life anyway. Just the direction of it, rather than how long it lasts. I'm Lord Chief Justice, and I've decided it's acceptable. But you can't do that, can you? There's no need to overcomplicate this. All you have to do is ensure that you don't lose. So the defendant may live or die depending on how well I perform in court. If I lose, he'll be hanged. Mr. Naruhodo, you've come to me claiming to be a lawyer. If you want me to take you seriously, you need to prove you're willing to do a lawyer's job. And you say that you intend to see through the will of your compatriot, Mr. Asogi. I would like to understand just how far you're willing to go in order to make that happen.
He's testing my resolve.
What's the matter? You've fallen silent. I'm sorry, but time is pressing. The trial begins shortly. I need an answer from you now. What's it to be?
What do I say? Do I agree to this absurd test?
I'll do it. Because otherwise the story won't progress. Oh. I didn't press the button for that.
Alright then. If I have to give you a decision now, my answer is... I can't do it. I can't get the words out.
15 seconds. Your decision making needs work if you want to be a lawyer. That was too slow. So, it's as I suspected, is it?
Sorry?
You have noble intentions, but lack the resolve to see them through. The test is cancelled. Thank you for stopping by. Go and acquire your tickets for passage back to the east tomorrow. This conversation is over.
Yes, Lord Strongheart. Thank you for offering me a chance. Mr. Naruhodo. I'm sorry, Mr. Sado, but what could I do? It's alright, I understand.
You do?
It's not an easy decision to choose whether to defend a man in these circumstances. But resolve has absolutely nothing to do with it.
What are you trying to say, madam?
I think what Mr. Sado means is that no matter how badly I'd like to be recognized as a lawyer and stay here in Great Britain, to risk another man's life by treating his one and only chance at trial so trivially would be utterly unforgivable, and I feel exactly the same way. I'm sure the defendant won't see this trial as a test, as some kind of experiment. A lawyer may fight for his clients in court day after day, but for each one of those clients, the particular day they stand in the dock may be the only chance they have to fight to prove their innocence. No, I was wrong. I'm not qualified to do that job yet. I'm sorry for wasting your precious time, Lord Chief Justice.
Wait. Yeah, there we go. I was waiting for it. Wait, Mr. Naruhodo.
Was there something else?
It's approximately 20 minutes by carriage to the Old Bailey from here. If you leave immediately, you should be there in time.
But I just said that...
I was quite serious in what I told you. The defendant in this case has literally no one to advocate for him.
What?
At this point, he can't hope to find someone to represent him. The trial will begin without a defense. And if that happens, there's only one possible outcome. He will receive the most severe sentence the judge can pass down.
That's awful.
But that is the truth.
Why does it have to be like this?
Please don't expect an answer to every question. The cold hard truth of the matter is that there is only one person now with a chance to save this man from the very miserable end. And that is you.
I'm really his only hope.
So, what do you say now, madam?
Me? What do you mean, Lord Strongheart? You said it wasn't an easy decision to choose whether to defend a man in these circumstances, and I agree. But in my estimation, it is purely and simply a matter of resolve.
Oh.
Our time is up here. I have a meeting to attend. I must leave in 2 minutes and 16 seconds. So, venture into our great city and enjoy yourselves.
He's gone. The Old Bailey. If we're going to do this, Mr. Naruhodo, we must leave at once. Let's do it. The Old Bailey. Wow, the room layout looks identical to what it was in Japan. Oh, thank goodness, we're in time. There's still 15 minutes until the trial begins. I never knew a horse-drawn carriage could go so fast. I thought my teeth were going to rattle loose. Do we even know who we're defending? Did you hear what the drivers... did you hear what I said to the driver when we climbed aboard? Get us to our destination in 5 minutes, driver. And there's a guinea in it for you. It's one of my favourite lines from Sherlock Holmes stories, and it worked quite perfectly. I'm not sure why you're so pleased. I thought we were going to die, and we had to pay gold for the privilege. Well, at least we arrived here before the trial started. Yes, I suppose there's that. Anyway, I don't understand it. The court clerk said the defendant should be here, but there's no sign of him at all. So this is the Old Bailey. Even this room for defendants to wait in is grand. Wow, my brain just shut down for a second reading that sentence. Even this room for the defendants to wait in is grand. Are you alright, Mr. Naruhodo? I'm feeling tense, that's all. This place gives me the same sense of foreboding that I remember from the Supreme Court in Japan. The oppressive air, almost as if the building itself is going to crush whoever is about to be sentenced. I feel like only yesterday I was the one about to be crushed. Yes, whoever the man you're to defend is, I imagine he's feeling very alone at this moment. Top of the morning to you, madam, sir. Oh, okay. And what you was doing following me here? Things are very desperate, are they? Sorry? Would you look at those expressionless faces? From the East, are yous? From Japan, yes. Ah, Japan is it, right. Say no more. Okay, I've just decided he's Irish. So, how much you need? No, we're just here because... No need to explain, fella. I've been there myself, so I have. No place to go, nothing to eat, barely a penny to your name. I apologise to anyone Irish that might listen to this. And all white in a strange faraway land. Well, actually, we haven't found a place to stay yet, no. 'Tis grand, 'tis grand. Let me start by giving you 1,000 guineas. Say nothing now. Huh? 1,000 guineas? Please, Mr. Sado, you don't have to shout. But 1,000 guineas is enough to build an entire mansion in the most prestigious area of Tokyo. What? That's nothing to me, pal. I like to ensure I have sufficient funds to weather any rainy day, you see. I have enough wealth to buy the city of London 2 or 3 times over. Could that much rain even fall in one day? Well, even so, we couldn't possibly accept such a large sum of money. Ah! Hit me right in the eye. Don't get me wrong, fella. I'm not giving it to you, no strings attached. I'll be waiting for you to do something for me. Oh? To be honest, it is a little embarrassing.
Trial's about to begin, you see. It's for my good self here. I'd be on the dock. So now, what I want you to do is come along with me and stand there beside me. Officially, you'd be my lawyer, but that's just a little detail now. Oh, well, the thing is, don't worry about a thing. All you have to do is stand up there next to me, nothing more. Otherwise, you see, the trial's going to start without me having any kind of representation at all. So it was true. The Lord Chief Justice wasn't making it all up. I'm terribly sorry to have to ask, but does that mean you're the defendant in this trial? Bluster and blazes. Do yous not know who I am? Me, I'm one of London's biggest names. Okay, his accent's just changing to whatever the fuck. No, sorry, we've only just arrived in the city, you see. I see. I suppose it ain't altogether impossible. He's gone a bit Yorkshire, a little bit. Well, just next to Hyde Park, there's the centre... just next to Hyde Park there in the centre of London's another beautiful park. Sorry, a park? What? It's called McGilded Park. Full of blossoming flowers in the spring and singing birds and whatnot. I donated it to the city, so I did. Ah, an entire park? In central London? City of Smiles, that's my vision for London. Ain't nothing Magnus McGilded. McGilded, okay. I guess that is kind of like erring on a little bit of Irish, maybe? Nothing that Magnus McGilded wouldn't do for the city. And it's queer old people. That's amazing. I mean, really extraordinary. Ah, but now they're going to say I'm a good-for-nothing criminal. Me, Magnus McGilded. What's the matter with London police, I ask you? Alright, don't pass out. If he takes the hat off, is his hair gonna be like a Marge Simpson-esque bun thing? Mr. Naruhodo, perhaps now would be a good time to introduce ourselves while the gentleman catches his breath. Good idea. Mr. McGilded, the thing is, we're actually here in London to study British law. We're Lawsons on a study tour from Japan, you see. So, if you don't have a lawyer for the trial yet, and you'd be happy to put yourself in our hands, that what I was after saying, you daft idiot. I've given you 1,000 guineas to stand up there next to me, haven't I? Ah, well, yes, but I wasn't really offering to just stand up there next to you. Oh, I think I see what's going on here. Sorry? I know what you're thinking. This Chancellor of a fella claims to have more money than the Queen. But if that's true, why the blizzards can't he hire the finest lawyer in all of London? Of England, even. Because he did it, that's the only explanation. Well? Not at all. Not at all, although it is a little strange, to be honest. Why don't you have a lawyer, I mean? That would be the fault of the Reaper. Sorry, did he just say Reaper? Aye, the Grim Reaper of the Bailey, Lord Baruch von Zeekes. Baruch van Zeeks? Baron van Zeeks. Baruch van Zeeks. Okay, I'm going to fall over that one a lot. He's the prosecutor. The prosecutor is the Grim Reaper? When Van Zeeks stands for the prosecution, they call the accused his sacrificial lambs. And to this day, in every single trial in which he's been the prosecutor, the accused has been damned. What? So it treats the desperate situation. where there's no one willing to stand in defense against the fella at all. You could say he's a living legend of the Old Bailey. Goodness. Lord Baruch van Zeeks. He must be an exceptionally talented prosecutor then. Talented isn't the word you're looking for, madam. It's cursed. Cursed? What on earth?
The defendant is summoned, and his counsel. Please make your way into the courtroom. The trial is about to begin.
His counsel, that would be me. Oh, it's Sam. Well, fella, don't let me down. But I don't know anything about the case. You haven't told me what happened.
Until you showed your face here.
I'd made up my mind, so I had. Sorry? I decided to defend myself in there. How would that have worked?
But you made an appearance.
A student of law, wouldn't you know? It is no accident. I can assure you of that. This fate. So don't get cold feet now, please. I literally know nothing about the case, or about this man who stands accused. In fact, the only thing I do know is that I can't just turn my back on him. Mr. Naruhodo, the man has no one. He'll have to stand alone in that courtroom, armed with nothing to defend himself. Yes, something like that Kazuma would never have allowed to happen.
Counsel for the defense, what are you doing? If you're late for the start of the trial, you'll lose your right to stand.
I'll be right there. It's happening then. My first trial in British court. I hope you're watching over me, Kazuma, because I have no idea how I'm going to manage this. There's no spirit medium, so we're not going to have the ghost of Kazuma jumping in to help us out. Ooh. Is that the jury? So this is the highest court in Great Britain, the Old Bailey. The centuries of history in this place is palpable, isn't it? It's so different to the Supreme Court in Japan. It feels both imposing and serene at the same time. The atmosphere almost makes words redundant. Whatever the country, determining a person's guilt or innocence is always a solemn affair. May I say something, Mr. Naruhodo? Oh, yes, what? Your eyes look really ready to pop out of your head again. I know, but I just can't help it.
Oh, look at this fancy judge.
In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. We are here today to determine the guilt or innocence of Mr. Magnus McGilded. I now call upon the counsels for the prosecution and defense to declare their willingness to proceed.
Do I make this guy a vampire?
The prosecution is ready.
No, that's just Russian. That's just Russian.
The prosecution is ready. The prosecution is fully prepared.
That must be the Reaper of the Bailey. He really does look fully prepared to dispatch his next poor victim to the underworld.
The counsel for the defense, you appear to be Eastern. Do you speak English?
Huh? Oh, yes, of course. Sorry. But he asked if the defense was ready. And I couldn't be further from ready if I tried.
Those eyes please me. Nipponese.
They shroud your fear, your doubt, your trepidation. They run wild, clinging to some phantom notion of courage. The quintessential look of a sacrificial lamb.
A cold shiver just ran down my spine all the way to the tips of my toes.
Now, Mr. McGilded. Yes, my lord? You stand accused of murder, a capital offense. You could be sent to the gallows if found guilty. Are you quite sure you wish to entrust your defense to this foreigner?
As I've always said, my lord, 'tis a grand thing to have opportunities to give opportunities to the even if the fellow is a student from some little island off in the Far East. Is it not the British way to ignore the dangers of yourself and give those less fortunate a fair chance? I'd like to think the acts of chivalry do the great British Empire proud. Listen to Mr. McGilded. What a fine gentleman London has in him. Did you hear he donated £5,000 to something? Mother, may we go to play at the park? Seems as though everyone in the public galleries is firmly behind Mr. McGilded. That's definitely welcome news, and he certainly has a way with words. I'm surprised he couldn't convince anyone to defend him. Because the details of the case are going to be so fucked as well.
Eloquently put, Mr. McGilded, and the most laudable sentiments. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I'm sure I hardly need to remind you that you 6 members of the public have been selected for your impartiality. Are you ready to proceed?
I wonder if any of these are going to show up as people involved in later cases, or if it's always just going to be these 6 that show up.
Yes, my lord.
Oh god, I'm going to have to do fucking 6 different... God, I hope they don't talk too much. I'm going to figure out 6 different voices to do with them.
Yes, my lord. If the task is to send the rotters to the gallows where they belong, I'm more than ready.
At the manor, his lordship always says we should dispose of rubbish promptly. Naturally, I agree. Yeah, any criminal here will see that they're wishing they never set eyes on me. Oh, we just skipped her. And we got a drunk.
I feel a chill.
Oh, don't worry about me, my dears. I'll just be getting on with me knitting. Must finish these mitts for my grandson. Ah, Mr. Naruhodo. These people are... The jury, yes. That's something we don't have in Japan yet. That's right. I've only ever read about it. But here in Great Britain, the court's final verdict depends on the opinions of these 6 jurors. I'm literally going to forget whatever voices I gave those 6. Except for her. The judge passes sentence according to the law, but the jurors determine guilt based on the common sense. So the defendant is ultimately judged from 2 different points of view. But how exactly do the jurors give their verdict? That I don't know, but I'm sure it will become clear as the trial progresses. Yes.
Prospector von Zakes. My lord. It's been a number of years since we've seen you here in the courtroom. I thought you'd renounced your fame. I am known as the Reaper of the Old Bailey, my lord. Infamy rather than fame, I would say. But yes, 5 years have passed since I last spread my wings in this capacity. So, what brings you back? Is there some change of circumstances of which the court should be aware? I leave that to your imagination, my lord.
So the Reaper has been out of action for 5 years. Why did he have to choose today of all days to make a comeback? Don't lose heart, Mr. Naruhodo.
As you wish, sir. The court nevertheless welcomes your return. Now then, opening statements, I think. A summary of the case, if you please. Certainly, my lord. As your lordship is aware, this case... pardon me. This is a case of overwhelming simplicity. We must be the only ones here who aren't aware. Oh god, I need to sneeze, but it's not coming. The incident took place in the late evening, 3 days past. The hour was some minutes after 10. The victim was a maker of building bricks, known to the community as Thrice-Fired Mason. Sorry, Thrice? He was a very accomplished craftsman. The bricks he fired were said to be almost indestructible. The victim's corpse was discovered in an omnibus in service on the streets of London at the time. A dagger that had been thrust into the victim's abdomen was believed to be the ultimate cause of death. Here is the autopsy report from the investigation. Here is the autopsy report from the investigating medical officer at Scotland Yard. Thank you, counsel. I shall accept that and the photograph as evidence. Cause of death: internal hemorrhaging as a result of single stab wound to the abdomen. But it looked like there was something attached to it? Like an envelope attached to that thing? Okay. Photograph of the victim taken on the omnibus. Knife in his abdomen is clearly visible, but his face is partially obscured from view by an old crooked hat. Record R1. Have to relearn all of the controls as well. Thrice-Fired Mason, male, 54, brickmaker. Between 10 and 11 p.m. Okay, that's all we get. Okay. I don't see anything. Oh. Button missing on his jacket. That might be important. And one further item of evidence. The knife itself? Oh, the gloves. The prosecution wishes to submit these as well. And these are... Good lord, is that blood, counsel? Yes, my lord. Seized by a policeman who arrived at the scene. These gore-soaked gloves were taken from the hands of the accused when he was arrested. What? Mr. McGilder's gloves had blood on them? Yes, I will accept these as evidence as well. The defendant's leather gloves have been entered into the court record. Bloodstain on the right glove. How did I get into this? I'm backed into a corner before I've even started. Continuing. According to the driver of the omnibus, there were only 2 passengers traveling inside his vehicle at the time. Only 2? Obviously, one of those passengers was the deceased brickmaker, Mr. Mason. And the other was the accused, Magnus McGilded. Very well. Rather damning circumstances, to say the least. Defendant, what say you? Well, of course, I have no recollection of such a thing. Mr. McGilded. To be sure, I rode the omnibus that evening. But whenever I'm in a carriage, I'm taken with a fierce tiredness, and I always come to it. Are you claiming to have been asleep? 'Tis the motion of the carriage, my lord. Lilton, so it is. When I open my eyes again, it's always a desperate sight. 'Twas a desperate sight before me. The body of a man I'd never laid eyes on before in my life. Now I ask yous, what good-hearted soul wouldn't rush to help a fella bleeding from his stomach? I wasn't about to start worrying about my gloves now, was I? I reached out to give him the man's hand. So the blood got into the gloves then, after the man had been killed. Unfortunately, that statement of the driver's is only the beginning. What? That's not all of it? There were multiple witnesses to the precise moment at which the brickmaker was fatally stabbed. How though? Order! 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 How does that take? That doesn't make sense though. If you're the two people alone in a thing, how would anybody see? When the killing took place, only the victim and the accused were inside the carriage, and there were witnesses to the crime. It's not just a case of compelling evidence. It's the nail in the coffin for the accused. Thank you, counsel. The circumstances of the crime have been made quite clear. I think we will hear the testimony from those witnesses, first of all. Your wish is my command. Bailiff, bring the witnesses in at once. Alright, what ragtag of group of weirdos have we got? Witnesses, your names and occupations.
Oh, my name is... well, everyone calls me Beppo. I drive an omnibus in the East End.
Bruce Fairplay. I'm a banker in the city.
My name's First.
Lady First. Oh my god. These fucking pun names are all stupid as hell.
I make hats for gents.
You're not very good at it. Your hat's terrible. Let's begin by confirming the facts. 3 days ago, at a short time after 10 o'clock in the evening, all of you were present in the stand where the omnibus and witness to the aforementioned incident. I completely read that last sentence wrong, but whatever. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Quite right.
Yes, sir, that's right, sir.
I've already forgotten what voice I gave him.
Very well then, let's proceed with your formal testimonies, please. Each of you will tell the court precisely what you saw.
Witness testimony. What they saw.
It was the last bus of the evening, so I had a few customers. I remember it well.
The victim and the man accused of killing were sat at each other's... The victim and the man accused of killing him were sat next to each other inside the omnibus. Then, out of the blue, the accused just reached over and plunged a knife into his guts.
That's right. He stabbed him. I screamed, I did. Couldn't help it. As soon as I heard the scream, I stopped my bus, and then I saw it too.
An ambiguous testimony, I must say. Exactly, my lord. These men witnessed the incident in the omnibus with their own eyes. Or did they just see him trying to help, like he already said he was doing? I'd like to ask a question, if I may.
I've just noticed he has Kazma's sword down by his side.
I only just noticed that.
Yes, counsel.
Well, this testimony makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever. Why not? Well, the incident took place inside a moving carriage, didn't it? As has been clearly stated from the outset, yes. Well, In that case, how could those two witnesses possibly have seen what happened? There's no way they could have seen the inside of a moving carriage. How quaint. I read that civilization in the Eastern Island nations was a good century behind our own. But you're here in London yourself. Are you really so ignorant about our omnibuses? Huh? Tell me, tell me, my Nipponese friend, have you ever traveled in an omnibus?
Well, no. We only arrived in London this morning.
No matter. I've arranged for us all. I've arranged for us all to see for ourselves. God, my fucking brain sometimes. The actual scene of the crime, that is.
What do you mean? The actual scene? How?
A carriage is designed to be moved, after all. Presumably you understand that much.
Yes.
The omnibus in which this bloody crime took place is here today, in this very building.
Here? What? The entire carriage?
Bailiff, bring forth the stricken omnibus. Wow.
So that's an omnibus. The omnibus. I can't believe they could bring something so enormous in here. Great Britain's courtrooms are amazing.
As you can see, the omnibus is pulled by 2 horses and can carry up to 8 passengers. 4 passengers are seated inside the enclosed cabin, and another 4 on the rooftop deck above. Every Londoner knows that the best views of our city's architecture and sights are to be had from the top of an omnibus. And I should point out to our foreign guests that there is a skylight in the roof, allowing a view of the interior from the seats above.
Ah, a skylight. Oh.
The penny drops at last, I see. These 2 gentlemen were occupying the rooftop seats on the omnibus when the murder took place. That's how they were able to witness the grim incident. Through the skylight.
Ah, that makes perfect sense. Well, Counsel, this is a first. In all my years behind the bench, I've never experienced a crime scene itself being brought into the courtroom.
There are a number of important clues remaining inside the carriage, my lord. I would like to submit the omnibus itself as evidence.
Am I going to be able to, poke around inside of it to take a look?
That is the prosecution's wish.
Very well. I see no reason why not. The omnibus is hereby formally accepted as evidence. 8-seater omnibus, scene of the crime. There were passengers both inside the carriage and on the roof deck that night. I can't believe it. The entire crime scene entered this evidence. Let's take a look, can we? Ooh. Nice, we could have a proper look around the thing. Phoenix Wright Omnibus. So there's a door. I wonder if that'll put me inside. I wonder what that says. Something Masters. London head office. So this is the roof deck of the omnibus. Oh, you must have a wonderful view of London streets from up here. So people sit all the way up there on a bit of winter nights in the cold air, brushing past them. And they have to pay money to do so?
I can't imagine how cold it must feel. That just made me think of something horrible. Can you imagine being dragged around the city in the freezing cold as punishment? Perhaps that is the real price you pay to stay out late. Okay. How's the view? You can certainly see inside the carriage through this opening, that's for sure. Yes, and there's a lamp in the enclosed cabin. I'm sure the witnesses would have been able to see quite clearly. It's not good for us. Interior? Do we get to go inside? Job Master's London head office. Okay. Let's open the door and go inside, shall we? Scene of a murder. It's horrible. Okay. Bloodstain. We've got a notice on the wall. What's this? The seat has a handle, it seems. Uh-huh. Storage space. Luggage storage. Oh, I see. It looks like all sorts of equipment that might be needed to keep the omnibus running. Feeding tubs, tools of to repair wheels, blankets, horseshoeing tools. So it's a storage compartment for the coachman to keep his things, it seems. There doesn't seem to be any space for passengers to store their luggage, that's for sure. Well, I don't imagine it would be very convenient for that purpose anyway. Okay. Only on the one side. It's quite a large skylight, isn't it? Yes, quite large enough to afford a good view of the cabin from the roof deck. And there doesn't appear to be any handle or latch or any description. So I suppose it can't be opened from inside the cabin at least. Ah, that's the poster for the Great Exhibition that's supposed to start in 6 months from now. There's a lot of focus being drawn towards the Crystal Tower, the centerpiece of the whole exposition. Oh, that Crystal Tower. It's under construction already, I believe. It's totally not a rip-off of the Eiffel Tower. People all over London must be fizzing with excitement at the prospect of such a grand event. Ah, it's the poster for the exhibition. Just repeat? Yeah, it's the repeat of dialogue. Oops. That's blood soaked into the seat. The victims, obviously. Yes, and that seat would be clearly visible from the roof deck. Would you really stab someone in full view of other passengers like that, I wonder? Well, it was after dark. And there was a lamp in here, so perhaps the culprit couldn't see outside through the skylight. Whichever way you look at it, it doesn't seem like it was planned. It wasn't a planned attack. Okay. Well, I didn't spot his button, his missing button, if that is going to be something important. Okay. Yes, Great Britain is simply extraordinary. I could help myself by giving that omnibus a thorough examination, seeing as it's here. Let's continue with the proceedings then. Your cross-examination, counsel. Pray don't expect this Nipponese stray to understand the intricacies of British court cross-examination rights. First of all, fuck you for the racism. Alright, my first cross-examination in British court. Focus, Roynosuke. Focus. Okay.
sat next to each other. That would be... If you're sat side by side with someone, that would be an awkward way of stabbing someone. You'd expect to, like, be sat opposite each other so that you could, And you saw them through the skylight in the roof of the carriage. Oh, fuck, what was this mechanic? Yes, I could push the other people, couldn't I? Have the other witnesses answer rather than... Yeah. If they were acting like out of sorts, which these guys aren't. That's right. When you sit up in the top deck, the window's right there at your feet. There was a lamp on inside. I had a pretty good view. The two of them were wearing hats, and I couldn't exactly make out their faces. There's not a shred of doubt in my mind that it was Mr. McGilded. How can you be so sure? Well, how could I put it politely? Mr. McGilded is a gentleman of rather small stature. Couldn't have mistaken him for anyone else. Let's not forget the vehicle came to a halt. The only people inside the enclosed cabin were the deceased Mr. Mason and Mr. Gilded. There is no room for doubt here. I really wish there was. Reached over. Let's press. Because I don't think I have evidence to exactly dispute that. You actually saw the moment. You actually saw the exact moment it happened? Didn't I already testify to that? Or rather, fair dinkum hard-working city bankers not considered trustworthy these days. Oh, no, I didn't mean that. This is no good. I've really got his back up. Perhaps you could just tell us what you saw in a little more detail, if that's... My lord.
Jury number 3, what's the meaning of this?
My mind is made up, my lord. Completely and utterly made up.
Made up about what?
I don't like the stinking rich, never have. They're always up to something or other that they shouldn't be, every one of them. And that little leprechaun of a man is no exception. Well, he can't fool me. Oh, this is how it works. There's no point wasting time listening to any more of this. That's my opinion on the matter anyway.
That was precisely what I was about to say. As the foreman of the jury, it's my duty to set a good example for my fellow jurors.
What the? What's happening here? Let me see. Ah, yes. It seems that's how the members of the jury give their verdicts. With fire? Apparently, yes. White for innocent and black for guilty. As the 6 members of the jury make up their minds about the case, one by one they each cast a ball of fire into the great scales of justice. As we saw a moment ago, that's a sentence that makes total sense. So if those enormous scales fall completely to the black side, does that mean... Let's do our very best to make sure that doesn't happen. Now I'm even more worried than I was before.
Very well. The court acknowledges the change in the jury's stance. Counsel for the defense, please continue with your cross-examination.
This is a nightmare.
That's right. He stabbed him. I screamed, I did. I couldn't help it.
Wait, where were you sat? Were you sat next to the guy, or were you in the seat at front? You stabbed him, you say, and you were sitting up on the roof deck, were you?
Yes, that's right. I was up on the roof seats.
I guess the little speech bubble thing is going to let me know that there's alternate things, so I don't have to keep checking everyone.
I remember seeing the little gent sitting next to the fellow that was stabbed. I've been thinking about a new hat design, you see. I was just gazing absent-mindedly around. But then, I happened to look down through the skylight. It was sticking right out of his belly. That huge great knife.
Yes, a grim sight indeed.
That didn't help me at all.
The jury looked like they were even more convinced that my client did it than they were before. It appears to have made everyone even more dubious that Mr. McGilded is telling the truth. If only we had some evidence to counter their suspicions. Mr. First.
Oh yes, yes sir.
Is this the knife that you saw?
Oh, goodness grief, yes that's it, the very one, sir.
Is that? Yes, counsel. This is the blade that was driven into the victim's belly like a stake through the heart.
That is the blade of considerable size, counsel.
It is, and furthermore, the scabbard is emblazoned with prominently with a certain initial. The letter M, which seems oddly familiar.
Please, no.
M for Magnus, perhaps, or McGilded, possibly. Take your pick. It seems this particular big name in London made a magnificent mistake.
But there are M's everywhere. Yes, like in Mason.
This blade is far too extravagant for a poor brickmaker to have owned.
I don't know, was he really that rich? Like, poor?
If he was supposedly the best and made indestructible bricks, supposedly indestructible bricks, you could probably make some money off that. Be better off than people might think. No. This weapon of murder almost certainly belonged to the accused.
Not conclusive, but certainly very compelling, counsel.
Okay. Oh god, she's gonna cast a fire into the thing. Yep, brawled with M.
On it, letter M. Undeniably Mr. Magnus McGilded's initial. It's beautifully gilded, too. It must be very valuable, I should think. What is it?
Or is it a W?
Look at this M.
We turn it upside down, it becomes a W. This could change everything.
A W?
Yes, this is one of those, turnabout cases. I'm sure about it.
I'm afraid I don't know at all. But what I am sure of that this is an M.
Oh? Well, that idea was quickly squashed. How are you so sure, though? Yeah, I guess you... Okay. Can we pull it out? That's part of the sheath, isn't it?
Are you alright, Mr. Naruhodo?
Sorry, yes, I just don't really like blades.
Oh.
Those don't seem like the words of a man with a large katana slung around his waist. That's not a blade, that's Kazma's soul. Anyway, there's no sense in delaying it. Let's see what the blade looks like. Very fancy. That looks a lot like blood.
It surely is blood. The victims.
An Englishman's blood looks a lot like a Japanese man's blood.
Did you think it wouldn't?
Sorry, it's just that we've only just arrived here in Great Britain. I'm finding it a little hard to adjust.
Yes, I do understand.
Okay. Nothing else in the scabbard? Okay.
My lord, if you'll forgive my interruption.
Juror number 2, go on.
Mr. McGilded is a pillar of society and a gentleman, and a gentleman's word should be sacrosanct. However, those of us in service know we must accept hard truths.
Wait, what are you about to do?
Dispose of the rubbish.
Shit, that's half of them already.
No. I don't wish to cause offense, but I do like to eradicate all traces of filth and grime. I have painstakingly typed every word uttered here today and cross-referenced all the facts. As such, I am now in a position to draw the only logical conclusion.
Oh god, it's all gonna come down to the old lady.
Not again. That's 4 out of 6 jury members who have proposed a guilty verdict. There are only 2 left.
We've had it. Every time I press the witness for more information, I just make the situation worse.
Nevertheless, what we need more than anything else at this moment is more information. We're still very much in the dark.
I suppose I'll just have to keep pressing the witnesses, knowing that more sparks may very well fly.
We mustn't give up hope that we'll uncover something that will give us a way to fight back.
But... Alright, I'll keep trying. I can't give up. I just need to keep calm and listen to the witnesses' statements again. Was that the final statement? Alright. When it happened, the only 2 people in the enclosed cabin area were the victim and the defendant. And, so help me, 3 whole people witnessed the man trying to defend. I'm trying to defend, do the deed.
I don't like to be pessimistic, but we do seem to be in a rather difficult situation here.
What am I supposed to think here? Is Mr. McGilded really innocent? Or could it be...
Before we jump to conclusion, let's first should we gather information. We need to understand the case much better than we do at the moment.
Yes, you're absolutely right. Let's go again. Okay, I think I skipped past the last one by accident by hitting X rather than... Alright, let's press this one. What exactly did you see?
Oh, well, sir, that would be the passenger, sir. Yes, collapsed on the floor he was.
Oh, what? And by the passenger, obviously you are referring to the victim, Mr. Mason, the brickmaker.
And the other passenger had that knife in his hand, like this.
And by the other passenger, you are obviously referring to the accused, Mr. Magnus McGilded.
And he plunged down like this, stabbing the other passenger in the belly.
What? Okay, amend your record.
Order, order. It is hard to believe that one of London's greatest philanthropists, but this is damning indeed.
The law knows no philanthropists, my lord. Only the innocent and the guilty. Good deeds mean nothing when overshadowed by evil. The truth is everything.
I couldn't agree more, sir. The truth.
Alright. So when it happened, there were only 2 people in the closed cabin. Oh, we've had this. What was the fast forward button again? Circle. So that's the faulty statement. What does he actually say in the moment? Okay. It's the only one I haven't pressed. I need that last statement to change. Yes, I think it was sometime after 10, wasn't it?
Oh, yes, sir, that's right. That's right, sir, yes. Ever so cold I was, sir. Freezing, in fact.
You look like you still are. And you had 4 passengers on board at the time, is that correct?
Yes, that's right, sir. Not all travelling at the same parts of the bus, of course, though, no. And there were no other passengers at the incident took place. No one alighted, for example. You're quite right, sir. No other passengers like that, no, none.
Nobody's fled the scene of the crime, then.
I have to say, the boss insists on it running, he does, every evening, the last bus of the day. But I do wonder sometimes if it's altogether worthwhile. Yes, sorry to say.
What do you mean by that?
Well, with it being so cold and everything, only making 20 pence on the run, you see. Yes, I spend much of the time at the pub on the way home just trying to warm up again. I just can't believe it, sir. I can't believe it. A murder on my own bus. It's too awful to think about. I haven't been able to shake this cold ever since it happened.
Oh, fuck's sake.
My lord, I wish to speak. Yes, juror number 5. Do I take it that you too? As a matter of the...
As the master of the London Guild of Coachmen, the idea of a murder being committed on one of the city's carriages is utterly abhorrent to me. It wouldn't be right to make a decision before hearing all of the facts, though, as I said to myself. But I've heard enough now. The horse is bolted, as they say. No, please, just keep an open mind a little. Gee up now, Silver Blaze. The finish is in sight. Yep, all down to the old lady. Beppo is a strong standing member of the guild, and I trust what the man says.
Oh, thank you, sir. You're too kind, sir.
This is too unkind, sir. Which now means that 5 jurors agreed to condemn this man. It all comes down to the old lady who doesn't seem to be paying attention. Madam Juror number 6.
Yes, dear. What can I do for you?
You have heard the testimonies of the witnesses in the stand.
Oh, yes, I certainly have. Still got my hearing, you know.
Then, pray tell, why have you yet to pronounce your leaning?
Well, dear, the thing is, I'm a creature of habit, me. I always go to the park at around this time of day and sit on a nice bench and get on with my knitting. There's a lovely little park just near where I live. McGilded Park, it's called. A gentleman donated to the city, you know, to put a smile on the Londoners' faces, he said. I can't imagine such a fine young gentleman would have it in him to take another man's life.
He's always doing wonderful things for the city. That's right. A man like that wouldn't stab someone, surely.
Mother, can we go to the McGilded Park Library later and borrow some more books?
How many Londoners live with their heads in the clouds? Do you people not know? What kind of man Mr. Magnus McGilded really is? What kind of man he is? The philanthropist Magnus McGilded has enough wealth to purchase the entire city he claims to value so highly. But where did all of that wealth come from? Your client is Shylock, sir. One of the very darkest of souls. What?
Stone the crows.
McGilded lends money to at extortionate rates of interest, so his victims have no hope of repaying him. When they default, he takes possession of everything they own. He is a vulture that preys on the weak.
I've never heard any mention of that before.
Your faculties haven't deserted you, I'm sure, madam. So has this thought not crossed your mind? Would a man wealthy enough to buy London in its entirety not have a carriage of his own? What possible reason could this man have had to make use of a public omnibus service? You're not saying that the victim, the poor brickmaker, had next to nothing to his name save considerable financial liability. It will come as no surprise that his creditor was the accused, Magnus McGilded. But let it also be known, the very day Mr. Mason was killed was the final repayment day for his debts.
Goodness gracious.
The brickmaker was destitute. He had lost his house. He had not a shilling with which to repay his debts. And in the end, his pitiful soul was the very last thing he owned, taken from him. This pitiful soul had the very last thing he owned taken from him, his life. By the merciless philanthropist pretender, Magnus McGilded.
I don't believe it. If I might add something briefly,
Mr. Sato?
You claim that the victim had been lent money by Mr. McGilded. But where is the evidence to support your claim?
Pray forgive the discourtesy of filling my hallowed chalice in court of law.
Ah, there it is. Lord Van Zeek's hallowed chalice.
How can this be considered acceptable? But I find myself in unexpectedly good humor. I had heard ladies from the Far East could show great courage, but I didn't expect to experience it myself.
Ah, as a judicial assistant to the defense, I'm simply doing my job.
What a pity that your display of courage is in vain. This is the debtor's ledger, which details all monies loaned by the accused. You will find the victim's name clearly recorded inside.
Oh.
Allow me to present this ledger as evidence. And pray forgive the discourtesy of raising my chalice in toast to the enigmatic East at the same time.
Marvelous toast, Counsel. I will gladly accept this new evidence and ignore the fact that you're drinking on the job.
A catalogue of people who borrowed money from the defendant at a high rate of interest. It includes the victim, who owed 20 guineas.
Does anyone else in the courtroom owe him money? Ah, yes, 20 guineas. The victim owned a considerable sum.
And the accused made quite certain he had ample recompense.
Well, it would seem I've had the wool pulled over my eyes.
Regrettably, madam, that is the modus operandi of the accused.
It's such a pretty little park, too. What a scoundrel. Still, maybe it's all for the best.
Wait a minute.
Let's think this through a little bit. I don't stand for nonsense.
This portfolio must contain all sorts of secrets of London's gentry.
Oh dear, do you really think we ought to look inside?
Well, it's not as though we know any of London's gentry personally, is it? Apart from our great detective friend, perhaps. Actually, I wonder.
I assure you we will not find Mr. Sholmes' name inside.
Well, let's see what we find.
Gosh, it's crammed full of gentlemen's names, isn't it?
Well, I suppose they're probably not all gentlemen at all, are they? After all, not everybody in this court is well off. Country is well off.
Ah, goodness.
What is it?
Look at this. You see the name here?
Bruce Fairplay. Should that mean something to me? It does sound strangely familiar, actually.
Bruce Fairplay, the witness testifying at this very moment.
Ah, yes, of course, the banker. Why is his name in here? Ah, he borrowed 20 guineas, did he? And look, the repayment date is fast approaching.
It's possible that this is just a coincidence, of course. But this could be very useful information.
Okay. As I suspected. Is this going to be the same? Yeah, okay. His was the only name.
That was it. The last juror's decision.
According to this Encyclopedia of British Law, when all members of the jury have concluded that the defendant is guilty, court proceedings are suspended and the presiding judge will deliver the final verdict and sentence. That's what it says here. The final verdict? It's over then.
Oh.
There's a footnote, though. A footnote? However, the defense... All 6 members of the jury are in agreement in this case. Allow me to pay my respects to your swift and righteous decision. According to the law of this country, I will now conclude the trial by delivering my final verdict. I trust there are no objections. Mr. Sato, just tell me one thing.
Oh, yes?
You were in the middle of saying something before. The footnote on your Encyclopedia of British Law. However, the defense. What did it say next?
Oh, yes, of course. One moment. When all members of the jury have concluded that the defendant is guilty, court proceedings are suspended and the presiding judge will deliver the final verdict of the sentence. Then the footnote says, however, the defense has the right to demand a summation examination of the jurors at this point.
Summation examination? A summation examination. From which country has the tome you have there been from which country has the tome you have there been resurrected? Judging from the binding, I would say that book is at least 50 years old. Any modern text on British law wouldn't give such an antiquated procedure a mention. It's a relic, long forgotten and certainly no longer practiced. So you're out of luck.
Oh.
What even is it, Mr. Sato? This so-called summation examination.
Oh, one moment, and I'll read about it.
You would demand the right to a procedure before you even understand what it entails. Typical Nipponese.
Ah, all right, Mr. Naruhodo. I think I understand. It seems that under this procedure we would be able to appeal to the members of the jury.
To do what exactly?
Appeal them to change their leaning and reverse their decision. At least it says here that, if successful, the proceedings of the trial must be resumed.
Make them reverse their decisions?
Yes, in times gone by, barristers would use summation examinations to attempt to influence the jury's decision. But that procedure became something of a formality with no practical benefit, really. So it rather fell out of use. I wonder why.
Because it was devoid of purpose. Changing just one member of the jury's mind would be hard enough, let alone several. No self-respecting defense barrister would even assert his right to try in this day and age. And yet...
I don't see any mention of the procedure actually being formally revoked.
What are you suggesting?
I'm suggesting that although it may be antiquated and largely forgotten, it isn't yet extinct. What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo?
Summation examination. Our last possible option. Do we assert our right to carry it out or admit defeat? The defense wishes to assert our right to the summation examination, my lord. And I'm going to take this as a moment to take a break. So I need to take a moment, go to the bathroom, get a snack because I'm starving. So I will be back in a couple of minutes. Won't be too long. Alright, I'm back. Let's crack on.
Objection!
London is the capital city of the most powerful nation on earth. We have a duty to the world to exemplify the very highest standard of judicial procedure. Summation examinations are an embarrassment that should remain buried. But if it's our right, it's our right. I believe it could prove vital to this trial.
The defense's petition is perfectly valid. The court will proceed with the summation examination.
This is madness.
Foreman, are you and the remainder of the jury ready?
Oh, well, I'm not quite, there was no mention of this in the letter I received, you see, so...
All members of the jury will be asked to explain on what grounds they have reached their decision.
On what grounds?
You must all justify your decisions and explain why you believe the defendant to be guilty.
Well, my lord, you're rather putting us on the spot.
It is most irregular. No mention was made of this before.
Yeah, I don't really hold with all this justifying lark. That seems to have thrown the jurors off.
It seems none of them have experienced this before.
Alright then, summation examination. The defense procedure no practicing lawyer has attempted for years, is it? Well, just maybe. It might be the opportunity we've been looking for, to turn this trial around.
So be it then, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. The court hereby calls upon you to state the grounds on which you find the defendant, Magnus McGilded, guilty of the most heinous crime.
Alright, new mechanic, new thing.
There was nobody else inside the carriage at the time, so it has to have been him. I trust the driver. He has an excellent memory, it seems. 4 passengers with fares tallying 20 pence.
He stuck the chap with a knife next to him, just like this. Brazen, I must say, absolutely brazen.
I have simply typed and collated all the statements made thus far and drawn the logical conclusion. You could trust the guild. Fair fares is our motto. We haven't raised prices above 4p.
Huh. It's 4p to ride, but the math don't work out. There should be a fifth person.
The scoundrel stabbing that poor man on the floor at beggars belief.
And also that statement's wrong as well. I'm starting to wish I hadn't pushed for this now.
Some of the Jews don't seem to have wonderfully formed arguments, though, do they?
Well, let's see what we can do. All we need to get... we need to get these 6 people to change their minds. I'll have to throw everything I can at them, and use some very persuasive language.
Just a moment, Mr. Naruhodo. According to my book, that's not quite how it works.
Oh? I thought I was going to have to thaw their icy minds with some heartwarming rhetoric about the defendant.
Fortunately, once the jurors have decided the defendant is guilty, they're unlikely to heed anything the defense says. But then, they've reached their conclusions by their own reasoning, you see. Your pleas will sound like excuses. In fact, it could recoil on you. The more you try to persuade them, the more entrenched they become. Then what on earth am I supposed to do? Oh dear, I'm just citing what I've read about British law, Mr. Naruhodo.
Right, I'm sorry. Do you have any idea how to make this work then?
Well, from what I can understand, the key to this procedure is using the jurors' own words to make your arguments.
What do you mean? Oh, right, we're going to play their statements off against each other and make them disagree with it, I see.
Well, the 6 members of the jury are randomly selected members of the public. They may appear to present a unified front, but the truth is, they are complete strangers who just happen to find themselves here in a courtroom together.
And that's the way to break them down, you mean?
Yes, exactly. We must listen very carefully to what each member of the jury says, and see if we can identify any contradictory statements. If we can, we then contrast the statement and pit the corresponding jurors against each other.
I see. So it's contradictions in what 2 or more jurors say that we're looking for. In a way, then, this is similar to a regular cross-examination. So 3 and 6 against each other, and then 5 against 1 or 2, was it? 2?
Oh yes, I suppose you're right.
Find contradictions in their statements, and pit the jurors against one another. To break them down. Alright. I might be able to pull this off. No, that's not right. I have to pull this off.
Can we start proceedings, counsel? I would ask that you take a stand for this. I'm expecting a clear and concise rebuttal.
Yes, my lord.
So what the fuck's up? Why don't you guys agree with each other?
Has to have been him. These 2 statements clearly contradict each other.
They do. Explain yourself, counsel.
Me?
Oh dear, what have I said? I swear on Silverblade's maiden name, I haven't the first idea what you're talking about.
According to the group testimony we've heard so far, there were 4 passengers on the omnibus that night in question. And according to the coachman, Mr. Beppo, he took 20 pieces in fare. 20 pence in fare.
It's quite right. I have these precise details typed neatly here in front of me.
Juror number 5 also told us the following. The fare for the omnibus has always been 4p.
That it is. A fair and convenient single price.
just the way London's carriages should be operated. But that doesn't add up at all. In fact, it leaves a glaring discrepancy in the facts. Why, man, why? Apparently we can't do basic arithmetic. Unless you explain it to us. 4 passengers, paying 4 pence each, if you do the multiplication. It would be 16 pence. Exactly. As I said, it doesn't add up. The figures are different. By 4 pence, in fact. Or precisely, 1 person's fare. 1 person's fare? Yes. In other words, on the omnibus that night, it's distinctly possible that there was another passenger we've heard nothing about. Goodness gracious. This can't be right. The coachmen of the guild are good, honest men, one and all. Trustworthiness is our watchword. The figures your coachman claims most certainly do not add up. Your watchword, good sir, is a fallacy. I beg your pardon? Mr. Guildmaster, I think you ought to consider that if this trial ends now, news will surely spread all over London. The news that one of your coachmen tried to hide the fact that he lets nefarious characters ride his omnibus. Alright then. How do I make it so this miserable trial doesn't end, huh? You go piss on the phlegm that you throw in. That's how it works. You have to piss on it. It's a weird thing. It's weird Britishism. But we got plenty of those, so go drop trow. According to my book here... Oh, God. You simply launch a fireball onto the innocent side of the set of scales. Now hold your horses here, coachman. We were all in agreement. Why'd you have to go and... Wait till I get my hands on you, Beppo. Yeah, boy. Oh, this is all very irritating. Begging your pardon, sir. I'm going to do the same. Oh, for the love of Mike, not you as well. A penny can be the difference between a smile and a tear, after all. I certainly can't put my trust in anyone who doesn't follow my exacting standards in financial matters. Oh, really? I, for one, think it's only proper that we hear from the witnesses again. Oh, well done, Mr. Naruhodo. You did it. If we can manage to change 2 more jurors' minds, we can force the trial to continue. 2 more, actually. There is something else that's been bothering me about a couple of their assertions. Then that's where you must strike next. So I need to pit 2 more jurors against each other, and show that there's another contradiction in their assertions. Exactly, you can do it. Now, is there just 1 more, or is there actually 2 that I could pick from? Well, the scales have shifted, but they're still way heavy on the side of guilt. Counsel, you may have the floor again. Continue with your summation examination. So what was yours? No one else inside the carriage, it must have been him. And what was yours? Yeah, okay. You 2 are duds.
Objection!
These 2 statements are completely contradictory. What? Explain, counsel, post haste.
Oh, dearie me. I was only knitting my jumper for my other half.
What is all this claptrap? What does contradictory even mean, I ask you? We've heard from more than 1 witness that they allegedly saw the actual moment the defendant stabbed the victim. Now, out of curiosity, juror number 3. What? Can't you see I'm busy here? How would you say the defendant stabbed the victim? What sort of motion was it? Huh? Want to test me, do you? Like this. Stuck the fella next to him without even getting up. Just like the prim banker said.
Yes, that's what Mr. Fairplay's that was Mr. Fairplay's test me. Quite true.
Now then, juror number 6.
Oh, is that me, is it? What can I do for you, young man?
How would you see the defendant stab the victim, madam?
Oh, well, dear, as far as I understand it, it was like this. He stabbed the poor man after he'd collapsed to the floor. The coachman said so.
Now don't move. Take a look at these 2 jurors. He stuck the fellow next to him without even getting up. And he stabbed the poor man after he'd collapsed on the floor.
Well, I never. They're stabbing in totally different directions.
What?
Bless my stitches, what a muddle.
What this tells us is that there's a strong possibility that one of the witnesses isn't telling the truth.
Oh.
Why? Why the dickens would he lie? I don't know yet, but what I do know is that if the trial ends at this point, we may never find out. We may never know the real truth. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, can you really let that happen in all good conscience?
Lies, you say? Oh, dearie me. I can't abide people telling lies.
The scales. I don't believe it.
Wait! Now hear this, my fellow jurors. I warn you, you cannot listen to this man. Look at him. In his black suit, he's clearly some devious Eastern sorcerer using magic on us all. Fuck you.
If I could use magic, do you think I'd really be putting myself through all this?
Answer me this, Dark Jinx.
Huh? Me?
What exactly is the problem?
What of it if 2 of the witnesses have slightly different recollection of events? What of it?
Let's say the Shylock did stab the victim as he sat next to him on the omnibus, and this young dandy saw him do it. And now let's say the victim collapsed to the floor.
There's only 1 stab wound, and he was also photographed sat up in the seat. So, get fucked.
And then he collapsed to the floor, and the Shylock stabbed him again. And this old lady saw him do it. Well, let's say it didn't happen like that,
Who are you calling a dandy, sir? Now why should I take this knife to you? Why I should take this knife to you?
Who are you calling old? Why I should take this needle to you?
They're ready to kill each other now. But could the foreman of the juror be right? Did the 2 witnesses see 2 different moments of the same crime? Out of the question. Unfortunately, Mr. Foreman.
What is it, you Dark Jinx? Come on, out with it.
What you're suggesting is impossible. It's out of the question.
What are you talking about, man? How can you possibly say that? You do realize that I'm only doing my job. As foreman of the jury, I have a responsibility to steer everyone in the right direction. So where's your evidence, man? That's what I want to see. I say 2 witnesses that saw the different moments. I say the witnesses saw 2 different moments of the same crime. If you say that's out of the question, show me proof.
Looks like the only way I'm going to have to convince him is to present him with something that he can't dismiss. Some irrefutable hard evidence. As you wish.
What?
I'll give you the proof.
It's out of the question that the 2 witnesses saw the 2 different moments.
is proven by...
Take that!
This is the victim's autopsy report. According to what's written here, Mr. Mason was stabbed in the abdomen. Only once.
Only once?
It's quite simple. The victim was stabbed precisely one time. Which means these witnesses can't possibly have seen it happen 2 different times. Alright, I can see defeat. Wait, that means 4 jurors are now leaning to not guilty. We've done it, Mr. Naruhodo. We've won. I mean, we haven't won the trial, we've just forced it to continue going. What are you playing at, you dandy fool? Shut your trap, sir. No one deceives me. But we had a consensus. I said shut your trap. I know a liar when I see one. And if the chap that ever dares to cross the threshold of my shop, I'll take this razor-sharp blade and shave every last hair off his head. You're a barber? Please tell me he's a barber. Well, in quite a remarkable turn of events, the defense's summation examination has flipped the balance of the scales of justice. The jurors now stand at 2 for guilty and 4 for not guilty. Accordingly, there is no longer a large enough majority among the jurors for me to adjudicate, and the trial must continue. I hereby ask the defense, prosecution, and witnesses to return to their places. And I call upon all of you to continue to pursue the truth. So, Lord Van Zieks, continue to substantiate the case for the prosecution, if you please. Oh yeah, you going for a second glass? Oh! Having savored... what was his voice again? Having savored the rich aroma of the carmine contents of this hallowed chalice. Carmine contents of this hallowed chalice. It may seem crass to crush it to dust. Pray forgive the discourtesy. Lord Van Zieks? Is it cold in here or is it just me? As your antiquated tome no doubt says, the prosecution may not speak during the summation examination, so I have honored a deathly silence and listened to the charade. It seems I overestimated the intelligence of the jury. Yeah. Well, no matter. There is nothing so hard to prove as self-evident truth, it would seem. No. Why else would we grace the courtroom with our presence after all? So, let us proceed to the next round of battle. Oh, the capes come off. Bring forth the witnesses once more. Witnesses. I trust you hear the summation examination we have had to... I trust you heard the summation examination we have just had to endure.
Yes, sir, I did, sir.
Of course I heard it.
Oh, yes, sir, I heard it. You, sir, in the end, the coachman. I believe it's Beppo. Yes, sir, my lord, sir. If it transpires that your previous testimony, you were attempting to veil the presence of a 5th passenger on your omnibus, you will be found guilty of perjury. You are advised to bear that in mind, sir. Oh mio Dio, Now then, witness, I hereby call you to testify before the court again. You'll explain the various misgivings brought to our attention by the defense's summation examination.
Various misgivings.
I only carried 4 passengers that night, I swear it, but,
Well, I've always was told I had to pay 5 pence for the bus.
he fiddles us on the ferry, did. And then I saw that blood-curdling sight as well. It's all too much.
I tell you, I saw McGilded stabbing the man. Everything I said before stands.
Oh, yes, he stabbed him, yes, he did. I think so, yes.
Counsel, does this make sense for this? Make sense of this for me, please. The Phantom Fifth passenger conjured into existence by my learned Eastern friend never existed. The confusion has arisen from the coachman's sly cosenage. Cosenage? I'm not familiar with the word. Let's educate ourselves. Practice of deception or trickery. Okay. Okay. Today we learned. Beppo, explain yourself.
Oh, I'm terribly sorry, Guildmaster.
The guild's fare is 4 pence across the board. You know that. Am I to understand that you've been overcharging your passengers a penny a fare?
It's so cold and the last run of the day is always half-penny empty.
You have been dishonest, coachman.
I'm sorry.
You're a disgrace, Beppo, a disgrace. And your self actions have brought dishonor on the entire guild.
If I may, sir. I had to pay 10 pence on the bus just last week.
What?
4 passengers have 5 pence each is, yes, 20 pence. I've done the arithmetic 10 times already. I just can't make the result come out differently. No, that figures.
Well, it would appear that one of the aforementioned misgivings has already been explained. So, counsel for the defense. Your cross-examination, if you please. We've already had the pleasure of protracted summation examination today. I see you intend to continue the parlor games.
Absolutely. Okay, so since we've got the money stuff out of the way, okay, so it's going to be somewhere in these last 3 statements. This blood-curdling sight, you mean the murder, I presume?
Yes, sir.
A loathsome sight. No one should have to witness the horror in the eyes of a man the moment his life is taken.
Oh, well, not exactly, sir. I mean, I didn't actually see the exact moment the gent was stabbed.
Good gracious. Really?
We have another witness who did, however. The banker has already testified to it. But Mr. First didn't actually see the point at which the victim was killed. That may turn out to be very significant.
I heard the banker gent next to me take a sharp intake of breath, you see. And when I looked through the glass, that's when I saw the horrible blade poking out of his belly, all covered in blood. Every time I see a knife now, I can't help screaming, even when I'm eating.
Was you on the stabbing? So you saw the defendant, Mr. McGilded, stabbing the victim, Mr. Mason, who was sitting next to him? That's what I said, isn't it? Bothering me before. It was bothering me before, this was. But just a brief moment he hesitated before answering the question. Anyway, there was only 2 of them inside the carriage, wasn't there? There's been much talk of a 5th passenger, but as yet, 0 evidence. Then what are we all wasting this time for, eh? It's black and white. The man's guilty. Something about Mr. Fairplay's testimony just jars with me. I wish I could work out what it was.
Oh, yes, he stabbed him. Yes, he did. I think so, yes.
Earlier, you testified you saw the moment when the defendant allegedly stabbed the victim, didn't you?
Oh, yes, that's right.
Excuse me.
Why you look so afraid?
Mr. First? Oh, how can I help you, sir?
My last statement, did it trouble you in some way?
Not particularly, sir. No, sir.
If anything, he's troubling me with that hat of his. Has he greased his head?
Oh, it is, sir. I just hope my hat's not troubling you, sir. I'm still just an apprentice, you see.
Mr. Naruhodo, even the witness can see what's going through your mind. You really must be more careful. I wish it were that simple. Not long ago, this trial very nearly came to an end. Somehow we've managed to keep our chances alive here. Can't waste this cross-examination. I have to use it to bring out some new facts to light. If you're not careful when pressing these witnesses, the danger is that the jury will end up believing something unhelpful, as they did before. Maybe, but I can't let fear of that happening stop us from uncovering important new info.
Yes, you're so right.
I need to pay careful attention here. I don't want to miss even a flicker of a reaction among these witnesses. Remember, if you happen to spot one of the witnesses reacting in a strange way, don't hesitate to pursue them as to the reason. I know we didn't finish the last one, but that's... Does that mean everybody on board that night paid 5 pence instead of 4?
Well, I said I paid 5 pence too, sir.
And I just told you that I did.
A flat fare of 5 pence across the board, sir.
It's not something to be proud of. This so-called discrepancy my learned friend identified was nothing of the sort. Much like the phantom killer you so desperately needed, it's gone, dead and buried. I'd been happy if I'd been happy if it ever existed in the first place. Okay, let's finish the old man's statement because I switched over to the young guy instead. Early testified you said the moment. He said the victim was on the floor and described the assailant holding the knife in an ice pick grip.
I suppose I might have, yes, put the cart before the horse, maybe.
What's this?
Well, I'm quite sure about most of it. I was driving the horses when I heard a scream from the seats on the back deck, on the roof deck. Oh, I expect that was me, sir. And when I turned around, yes, I saw it through the skylight. The gentleman was on the floor and the knife was sticking out of his midriff. That's right, yes, the fellow holding the handle was the famous man, yes.
So, in short, You didn't see the moment when the victim was actually stabbed at all.
I really thought I did, but when I go over it again in my head... No, I suppose I didn't actually see the precise moment of the stabbing, did I?
Excuse me.
What are you doing? Do you have something to say about that, Mr. Fairplay? Now you listen to me. I know what you're thinking. You didn't really see the exact moment the fellow was stabbed. What are the chances of that? Huh? Hey? Are you asking me or telling me? He's getting flustered. I might be able to extract some new information out of him if I answer him cleverly. Could he have just happened to see the exact moment the crime was committed? No chance. Well, it is a little hard to believe, certainly. Unless you spend your time peeping through the skylight on the top of the omnibus, that is. Peeping? I'm a respectable city banker, I'll have you know. And I know what I saw. I remember it as clear as the Ballarat day. It was a grim scene, I don't mind telling you. Thank you, Mr. Fairplay. Oh, excuse me if I was getting a little hot under the collar there, my lord. I would ask you to supplement your testimony with a clear statement about what exactly you saw. Oh, I can do that, sir. Do that, all right. I'll tell you just how grim it was. Do you think I'd forget the sight of those blood-soaked hands after that butcher stabbed the man? Well, there we go.
Objection.
Blood-soaked hands? Well, I admit that soaked might have been laying it on a little thick, but... But anyway, there was definitely blood all over them. Both of them were covered in it. Well, I'm very sorry to disagree, Mr. Fairplay. That's more than a little peculiar. What? Here are the gloves worn by the defendant, Mr. McGilded, on the night in question. Oh, yes, right. And there certainly does appear to be a sizable dark-coloured stain there. But as I'm sure you can clearly see, it's only on the right-hand glove. In short, Mr. Fairplay, your testimony is inconsistent. Ugh. But no, that can't be right.
So you're a liar here, then?
That's right, you're quite clear about it. You said... it was both hands. Ugh. He's gonna snap that kin in half. Mr. Fairplay, if your last statement was a lie, it calls your entire testimony into question. You say you saw the moment the victim was stabbed, but is that really the truth?
Objection.
It was a simple mistake. You can't justify accusing this man of lying. Yes, it wasn't both hands, it was only one, but the fact remains. The victim's blood was on the accused. No, Mr. Fairplay categorically stated that he saw the blood all over both hands. Which means that there's a strong possibility that this witness is deliberately trying to mislead the court. Ugh. Why? Why would it? I'm a city banker, for pity's sake. My word should be the gold standard. I'm a gentleman, not some gutter snipe. Upstanding members of society don't prevaricate? I don't even know how to pronounce that little... prevaricate. Prevaricate? Don't know. He's claiming to have no reason to lie. But is that really the case?
Mr. Naruhodo, if we had some evidence to explain why Mr. Fairplay might be lying, it could turn the tides of this trial completely.
Like he owes the defendant money? My lord.
Yes, counsel.
The defense is ready to present evidence.
By Jove, are you sure?
Yes, evidence that will clearly demonstrate why Mr. Fairplay had reason to lie in his testimony.
Yarr. Very well. I hereby call on the defense to present its evidence. The evidence that demonstrates the motive for the witness's alleged deception to the court.
This is the list of debtors who owe money to Mr. McGilded. Yes, a list of innocent victims, crippled by the accused extortion. The point is, among the names of those debtors is your name, Mr. Bruce Fairplay.
What? Mr. Fairplay, are you currently indebted financially to the accused?
No, well, it's barely worth being called a debt. According to this ledger, you owe 20 guineas. And not an inconsiderable sum of money, wouldn't you say? Well, what of it? Let's suppose Mr. McGilded were to be found guilty of murder. What would become of your debt in that case?
These documents state that the loan agreement is forged between two individual parties. Therefore, were the creditor, the defendant here, to be sentenced to capital punishment, all outstanding debts which were owed to him would be annulled. They would cease to exist.
Cease to exist? Mr. Fairplay, is it not the case that you claimed in your testimony to have seen something you never in fact saw? In a devious attempt to annul your debt of 20 guineas to the defendant. Really thought he was going to snap that kid in half.
Order, order, order. Mr. Bruce Fairplay. Yes, my lord. Let me ask you again, and be aware that your answer may have the most serious implications upon your future, sir. Did you or did you not see the precise moment in time at which the defendant is alleged to have thrust a knife into the victim?
Your silence speaks volumes. You did not tell the truth in your testimony. Alright. Now let's not make a melodrama out of this. Perhaps I did overstate the truth a pinch. A pinch? But it makes no difference. I definitely remember seeing blood on Mr. McGilded's hands. Both of them. And yet, only one of the defendant's gloves, which we have here as evidence, is stained. Ugh. So you keep saying.
I wonder if I might be allowed to speak, sir. Go ahead, Mr. First. Well, the thing is, I think I remember seeing it myself, as it happens.
Seeing what?
Blood, sir, on the assailant's hands. I think, yes. I'm almost sure it was on both of his hands, not just the one.
What? What?
It would appear that we are going to need further testimony from all of you witnesses. This time, I would like to know precisely what you did and did not see. Do I make myself perfectly clear?
Mr. Naruhodo, this is good news. The course of the trial seems to have shifted slightly at last. Yet. I finally have a chance to turn things around here. What they really saw. There was blood on both hands of the assailant. I sincerely and distinctly remember that. However, I suppose you might say I didn't see the exact moment the stabbing transpired, if that matters.
I remember seeing the knife, and I remember seeing both of the attacker's hands covered with blood on them. I didn't actually see anything myself, no, not until I heard that scream.
Anyway, the fact remains, there can't have been anyone else inside the carriage, or y'all would have seen. That is the problem. Like, it's a very small cabin. I doubt whoever did it was like hiding in. Maybe that's the point. They were hiding in the little drawer. But there's not much space in it. Oh, I don't know.
Well, lo and behold, in truth of the fact, not one of you was a witness to the crucial moment the crime was perpetrated.
I apologize, your lord, but honestly, there was no one else inside that carriage. The man's hands were covered in blood. That much incriminating evidence is tantamount to saying we saw the man do it. That's really not what testimony is about. Let us examine the interior of the omnibus once more. The victim's fresh blood is clearly visible on the seat, corroborating the witnesses' accounts. In other words, there is no substantial nor significant change in the facts of the case.
Very well. Your cross-examination, please, counsel.
Yes, my lord.
Cross-examination.
What the witnesses really saw.
How can you be so sure?
No, the evidence tells us otherwise. We have the gloves the defendant was wearing on the night in question in the court record.
I'm well aware of that, sir, but nevertheless.
I know what I saw, and I stand by it. The man had blood on both his hands.
He's defiant, even in the face of hard evidence.
He's steadfastly refusing to admit that he might be mistaken about what he saw. But why? Your reasoning is dire. One hand or two, the salient point remains unchanged. Minutes after the grim crime, the victim's blood dripped guilty from the accused fingers.
That's not that useful. You tell us some more.
You definitely saw that too. Blood on both hands?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I know what you're going to say. Only one of Mr. McGilder's gloves had any signs of blood on it.
Are they... Oh, they were taken from his hands though, weren't they? I wondered if those might have been the Beppos, maybe.
That's right. The thing is, as far as I remember, sir, when I looked down and saw Mr. McGildy sitting beside the other fellow, I don't believe he was wearing any gloves, sir.
He wasn't wearing these gloves?
That's correct, sir. And I saw the blood on both sides of both of his bare hands quite clearly.
It's true that the dark-coloured stain on the dark leather gloves wouldn't have been easy to see. I should point out that the police officer who apprehended the accused on the night in question reported that there were no traces of blood on Mr. McGilder's gloved hands. There wasn't any blood in his hands?
This is puzzling indeed.
This must be significant somehow, I'm sure of it. Are they literally the same gloves that Beppo's wearing? Like right now? They look very similar. You didn't see anything?
Oh, yes, sir. That is to say no, sir. I didn't. I'm very sorry about what I said before, sir. Very sorry, yes. It was very wrong of me to make up stories and say I saw him stab the man. Wouldn't you agree, sir?
I know what you're insinuating, but certainly wasn't making up stories. Still, to say you saw nothing isn't right either, is it?
No, no, sir. I saw nothing at all.
Mr. Beppo, you were driving your horses. At the very least, you must have enjoyed a good view of London streets, no? Oh, please. You didn't even see that?
It was cold that night, you see. It was all I could do to keep from passing out, sir. Yes, my head was fairly frozen solid. Sorry to say, sir.
It would seem prudent to avoid travel on the last omnibus service of London's cold to avoid travel on the last omnibus service of London's cold winter nights. Beppo!
Oh, I'm sorry, sir.
Anyway, the fact that remains there can't have been anyone else inside the carriage, or we would have all seen. No, you wouldn't. Angle. The angle of it. Because the person who... if there was a third person in the cabin, they would have been sat underneath where you're sat. So as long as you didn't see their legs, you wouldn't have noticed them. I think it really is going to be somebody who was hiding inside the box. Yeah, I think that's how it's going to be. Someone was hiding in like the storage thing. McGilda did actually fall asleep and then somebody popped out with the knife and then hid back in the box. Maybe? But then how did the gloves stuff? I don't know. And everything you saw in the incident was through the skylight on the roof of the omnibus? That's right. It was fiercely cold that night, but the glass wasn't frosted over.
Oh yes, I remember shivering. It was ever so bitter.
It rather begs the question of why the pair of you were sitting on the roof deck in the first place. Well, I don't know about this, young fellow, but I couldn't enter the cabin. Oh? Why not? It was locked from the inside. I tried knocking, but no one opened the door. It was locked? That's right. It's a public bus service, for pity's sake. That's not what I'd call fair play.
Yes, I had the exact same experience. I tried knocking, but the gent inside just gestured to me to clear off. So I had no choice but to climb to the roof deck and look down longingly through the warm cabin below.
I can assure you, I wasn't looking down. I was glaring long and hard. And that's precisely why I can tell you with some absolute confidence that if there was anyone else in the cabin, I would have noticed. Unequivocal, I must say. I'm not sure about these two witnesses. Could they really have seen everything inside the cabin through the skylight? They may not have been able to. Allow me to confirm one thing, Mr. Fairplay. You were riding this omnibus and witnessed the events in the cabin through the skylight in the first floor on the floor of the upper deck, is that right? That's right, yes. In that case, there's a portion of the cabin interior that would have been out of sight from you. What?
By golly, really?
Obviously, at this stage we can't say for sure, but the possibility cannot be denied. At the very time of the incident, there could have been another passenger in the enclosed cabin of the omnibus.
Objection!
Enough hypothetical meandering, my Nipponese friend. The prosecution demands you substantiate your claims. After all, the scene of the crime is here in the flesh.
Very well. I will uphold the prosecution's demands. You will identify the area on this cross-examination plan. Cross-sectional plan of the omnibus. Where exactly in the omnibus are you suggesting that the potential extra passenger could have been situated?
Fucking right underneath.
Take that!
Both rows of seats on the roof face in the direction of travel, whereas the seat in the enclosed cabin face each other, which means the visible part of the cabin, which passengers on the roof deck can see through the skylight, is as I've drawn here.
Ah.
That's right, my lord. As you can see, the seat opposite the one on which the victim and his attacker were sitting is obscured from view. In other words, if someone had been sitting on that seat, it's quite possible these witnesses would have been completely unaware of it.
Objection!
It's quite possible some phantom was sitting there. You Nipponese have a forbidding habit of obscuring the truth with ambiguity.
I concur with the prosecution's rejoinder. In the British Court of Law, evidence is paramount. I cannot entertain this conjecture, counsel. That is, unless you're able to put a name to this mysterious passenger to whom you allude.
Can you, Mr. Naruhodo? I don't think I can. Yeah, I'm not sure if I can. I think it's either going to be Magnus was sitting opposite him, or it's going to be someone we don't know. Because the attacker... Well, we don't know which angle the attacker attacked him from yet. I was just going to say I don't know. That's probably the wrong choice. I have literally no idea. But as a proud citizen of the Japanese Empire, you will look into the sky and walk on, making sure all signs of tears are gone. Go on. This isn't just a case of going on, Mr. Sato. Alright then, I'll go on. The defense would like to put forward a name. You are a fool. That response was a desperate attempt by a man who has no notion of his own limitations. A toast to hard lessons not yet learned.
Let us not delay, counsel. The defense is still to name the passenger on the other seat.
This could be it. This could be the chance I've been waiting for to turn the trial in my favor. On that night, on the night of the murder, the person occupying that seat was... I literally don't know. I don't think it can be anyone else, can it? passenger in the enclosed cabin that the witnesses on the roof deck failed to see has to have been Mr. Magnus McGilded.
Mr. McGilded?
What are you talking about, counsel? That's the name of the defendant.
Objection!
So please don't throw alcohol at open flames, please. If I desecrate this chamber by smashing my hallowed chalice, do forgive my discourtesy. Lord Van Zeeks. People talk of those tiny island nations in the Far East as having a learned culture of their own. But I see they used terms ill-advisedly. What are you trying to say? Let me explain in terms that even a student of an artless backwaters such as artless backwaters such as yourself might understand. When the bloody scene unfolded, the victim and his assailant were sitting side by side. Multiple witnesses have attested to the fact. It is the very premise on which this case is built. But that premise may be wrong. What? If the victim really was sitting beside Mr. McGilded, it creates an inconsistency that can't be reconciled in any way.
What inconsistency, counsel?
The defendant's gloves, my lord. Both witnesses made the same testimony. They claimed that there was blood on both hands of the person sitting next to the victim. Yet we know the truth to be otherwise. Only one glove bears, the glory remains. The point is, even in the face of this irrefutable evidence, both witnesses have maintained their stance.
Yes, their testimony remains unchanged.
Exactly. They both adamantly swear that they clearly remember seeing blood on both hands of the assailant. In short, their memory of events is correct, and their testimony reveals the truth. There was somebody else sitting beside the victim that night, a third party we have yet to identify. And the victim's blood was on that passenger's hands, both of them. And who was this third party? I don't know. Obviously, the true culprit.
Extraordinary. Order, order, order. What exactly are you postulating?
The defense's postulation is just that, nothing more than conjecture. The witnesses have clearly stated that they saw the accused. But when elaborating on this testimony, Mr. Fairplay said the two of them were wearing hats that they couldn't exactly, and I couldn't exactly make out their faces. Yes. The tops of their heads were obscured by the roof. I could see the rest of them, though.
Yes, that's right. Both gents were most certainly hatted. Hatters do tend to notice such things, though.
What particular styles of hat were the two gentlemen sport, Mr. First?
I'm afraid I don't remember.
You call yourself a hatter? The style of hat makes no difference. There was no third passenger in that cabin. How can you be so sure? Because if there had been, the accused, Mr. McGilded, would have undoubtedly have offered to depose the fact. Unless, that is, you are proposing an even more preposterous explanation. That the accused failed to even notice the presence of the true culprit in the very cabin in which he travelled. But we know about the storage space under the seat, which happens to be the one seat that the guys above couldn't see. He's right. If there was another person travelling in the enclosed cabin of the omnibus, it's inconceivable that Mr. McGilded would have been unaware of it.
Order. There is clearly a simple solution to this problem.
Bring the accused, Mr. McGilded, to the stand.
Well, what say you, counsel?
The prosecution objects, my lord.
On what grounds?
As a suspect, he will have already made a full statement to the police.
But what if there's reason why he's unable to speak freely?
Magnus McGilded is no uneducated ruffian. If it indeed turns out that the man has been withholding information, you can be sure it will have been a most deliberate act.
Counsel for the defense, what is your opinion?
My lord, should we ask Mr. McGill to testify or not?
Yeah, let's demand it.
Yes, we need to hear what he has to say in order to find out the truth. The defense would like to call Mr. McGilder to the stand.
In that case, I would like to hear the opinion of the jury. Yes, I need a little time to consider this.
If you ask me, I think we should hear what Mr. McGilder has to say.
Get the man out of here, I say.
It would be utterly illogical to not hear his testimony.
If something needs doing, get it done. That's how I run things at the guild.
Hearing what the patron of my favorite little park has to say. Oh yes, that would be lovely.
Yes, the jury says the man must be heard.
Very well. The court will hear the defendant's testimony. Bailiff, show the defendant to the stand at once.
God, I hope there's a break soon, because this is fucking my voice up. Now, maybe what actually happened that night will finally become clear.
Let proceedings be resumed. Mr. McGilded, have you been listening to the discourse of the day?
To be sure I have, my lord.
There are now two matters on which the court desires to hear from you. The first is whether or not there is a third party with you in the omnibus cabin, as proposed by the defense. The second is that if such a person was indeed present, why did you conceal that fact from the police?
Begad, no. It's not my nature to hide anything at all. Just answer the question, please. The truth of the matter is, I've been desperate about this all along. Do I tell yous or do I keep my mouth shut?
Tell us what, Mr. McGilded?
The fine fellow representing me is absolutely right. In the carriage on the night with myself and the other man, there was another passenger.
It's true?
Aye, 'twas me who helped the little urchin get away after it happened.
You... what?
No, Magnus McGilded. That convenient excuse can't save you now. Oh, I'm truly sorry I am, Lord von Zeeks. I'm sure you'll be wanting to know why I said nothing when I was taken in by the police. I do be having a good reason, I assure you.
Which was?
Well, the little child was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, and not in any way involved, you see.
What?
What? If the police had known a wee one was there, they'd have assumed she'd done it. They'd have hauled her into this here cot room just like myself. I was only trying to spare her that. Young hearts and young minds are easily damaged, my lord. It's a young girl.
And who is this young child of whom you speak?
That I don't know.
You don't know?
Aye, well, The wee thing just happened to be there in the carriage that night. I never saw her before or since. We have absolutely no reason to believe this man. The prosecution calls that the witness statement to be disregarded by the court. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if the urchin isn't here in this courtroom as we speak, listening to the proceedings. What? What the fuck? I thought somebody fired a gun. What's going on? Be careful, Mr. Naruhodo. Cover your face. Bailiff, don't let the accused escape. Secure the omnibus. I hereby call an emergency recess. Bailiff, ensure the defendant is in custody and clear the courtroom. Wow, I wasn't expecting that to end so suddenly. They were hurriedly removed from the smoke-filled courtroom by the bailiff. Amid scenes of chaos as people stumbled over one another in their desperate attempt to flee the chamber. We had no idea what was happening. All we knew was that for the time being at least, the trial was suspended. To be continued. Oh. It's just about the right time because my throat is absolutely fucked. Oh, hello, Dark for you. Sorry, I wasn't paying attention to chat at all. I'm very sorry. And thank you for the follow as well. I've played the first 2 original Ace Attorney games. I've not played the third or like any of the others. But I'm just doing like these Great Ace Attorney ones because they're kind of separate from having to know the continuity of the rest of the games. But, oh, no, actually I wanted to quit out. Yeah, I really like, because this is like the 3rd case, and I've really enjoyed like the 2 I've done previously. Yeah, may as well save again. I've been enjoying the games so far. I'm sort of breaking it up, so I'm not doing it all like back to back to back. I'm kind of like doing cases in between playing other games. So it's not all just like... So I don't burn myself out on them. Like, the quality of these games has been really impressive. Like, the 3D models and, like, the animations they put into it, it's, like, incredible. Because obviously I've only played, like, the first 2 Ace Attorney games when there were still 2D images. So, like, kind of had to be limited in how expressive they could have the characters be. Like, how many animations for them. Yeah, I'm finishing for today, because I've been going for, like, 3 hours, and it's been me talking for most of it, and like, these games absolutely fry my throat. I can only do them for like a couple hours before I have to like stop, because it's so exhausting doing voices for every character. So I have to do them in like little handier chunks. But I'll be picking this up again sometime in the next couple of days. I don't have like a fixed schedule, unfortunately. It's just whenever I can find the time to stream. But yeah, I will be continuing this sometime in the next week or so. Actually, how far through this case am I? I got a select adventure. Trial start, summation examination, recess. So oh yeah, I'm like halfway through. So I can finish the other half of the case and then do the bonus thing that I always forget the name of it. The escapade for the case in the next stream. Cool. I'm glad I can finish this off in like a nice clean 2 streams for this case. But yeah, that is going to be it for today. Thanks for stopping by and hanging out. I hope to see you next time. Cheers. Bye now.